Hey, what's up you guys? My name is Xander Foster, and today I want to talk to you guys about a discussion I had in my anthropology class. So right now in my anthropology class, the unit that we are studying and discussing involves gender and sexuality and sex and the socialization aspect of all those things. Today we explored the idea of gender being a social construct and gender roles being solely socially constructed. And although I do believe that gender is a social construct, I had some issues with what was being discussed in class. So we got into how gender isn't biological, and we talked about theories or ways of thinking about gender that say nobody is born boy or girl. And so what we were discussing is the idea that no one is born a boy or born a girl. People are just assigned genders. The problem I had was the way we were talking about it was very cis-normative, and I felt was borderline exclusionary to trans identities. I didn't really feel that it encompassed trans identities. The problem I have when people say that nobody is born a boy or born a girl, they're just socialized to become that way, is under that logic, trans people can't exist. Or if they do exist, they're making a decision, because under that logic, if you are not born with the innate sense of being a boy or a girl, then when you grow up, being socialized, in my case female, and then transition to be male, you're making a decision, because gender's not something that you're born with, it's something that you're socialized into. And I just don't think that that does justice to trans identities. I talked about this a little bit when I made a video about my sociology class, but it's hard for me to have these discussions in class when no one in the room knows that I'm trans, because I do feel like I have a little bit more authority in the conversation. And it's not that I speak for the trans community by any means, it's just I have a perspective that no one else in the room has, and I think that's something to be valued. But unless I come out and voice that I have authority, no one's really going to respect that. I really do think that part of gender is socially constructed, but I also feel that I was born a boy. My head was a boy, and I was destined to be a boy from birth. And if you picked me out when I was an infant and socialized me some other way in another place with other people, I do still think that I would be a boy. It's been interesting talking about trans identities and gender expression in my anthropology class. I'm excited to see, where we end on this. I've been struggling with this topic in particular because I don't know if it's just that I'm not there yet. Like my consciousness hasn't evolved to understand the universal truth that underlines this topic, or if it's just simply I don't agree, and that's okay. I always try to expand my consciousness and expand my acceptance of ideas. When I'm in a classroom with all cis people, sometimes it's difficult for me to stay grounded and stay humble and just say there's some parts of my perspective that they can learn from, and there's some parts of their perspective that I can learn from. And just because we're talking about a topic that includes an identity that I hold, everyone else's perspective is valid and deserves to be heard. At the same time, it's really frustrating for everyone to tell you what your identity means, or tell you, what it means to be trans, or what the right way to be trans is, or what parts of that identity comes from the social construct of gender and what part comes from the biology. The class has given me a lot to think about. I'm not done looking introspectively, and I'm not done having this conversation with you guys. If you guys have any comments, questions, or concerns on this topic, feel free to leave me a comment down below. If you like this video, make sure to give it a like, and if you want to see more from me in the future, then subscribe. Stay sweet. There's just people next to me. Lit. Subscribe.